A very good evening. It's Sunday the 22nd of January 2017 and welcome to a brand new edition of News First Weekend. I'm Arundhati Mudanayaka. Let's start off with a look at the stories making headlines this evening.
Three schoolboys drowned while swimming in the Mahaveli River. Coal racket exposed by former Lanka coal chairman Maitri Gunaratna.
මේ අමාත්‍යංශ ලේකම් සහ මේ ප්‍රසම්පදා මණ්ඩලය සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම මාළු කළ යුතුමයි. මේක මාරු කරේ නැත්නම් මේ හොරකම නැවතත් කරනවා.
Chief ministers from the SLFP call on the former president.
අපි ප්‍රධාන අමාත්‍යවරුන් 7 දෙනා කටයුතු කරන්නේ මේ වැඩපිළිවෙලේදී අතරමැදි සම්බන්ධීකාරකයෙක් හැටියට.
අපි විශ්වාස කරනවා ඒ පැත්තෙන් ධනාත්මක පිළිතුරක් අපිට ලැබෙයි කියලා.
වාද විවාද නොගියා නොවේයි, තර්ක විතර්ක නොකළා නොවේයි. උදේ ආහාරයත් අරගෙන අපි නික්වෙනවා.
Lakshan Sandakan shines for Sri Lanka. South Africans bowled out for 113 in the second T20.
Three schoolboys who had been swimming in the Mahaveli River in Dunhinda, Gampala, drowned today.
අම්මා මට කොහෙවත් යන්නේ කියන්නේ නැතුව කොහේ හරි යනවා නම් අම්මා සල්ලි කියලා ඉල්ලනවා මට වැඳලා යන්නේ මේ දුක ඉවසන්න බෑ අනේ මගේ රත්තරන් පුතා අනේ මාත්‍යෝ
Temiya Supun Navaratna, Chamika Sandeep Seneviratna and Gayana Amita Bandar, aged 13, were grade 9 students at the Ulapane Udagama Saranapala Mahavidyalaya. The three boys had informed their parents that they were leaving home to participate in a school activity and had then joined two other boys for a leisurely swim in the river. The 5 boys had travelled upriver to swim, but one of them had struggled against the current. 2 of his friends had attempted to rescue him, but the power of the river proved too much for them. Following an intense search operation, Navy divers recovered the bodies of the 3 boys from the riverbed at around 10:30 a.m. today.
One slipped when he stepped on the rock. When the other tried to grab him, he too slipped. Then my friends and I jumped to catch them. They went towards the middle. We felt that we are also being dragged into the water, so we came ashore. I came home after work around 6:30. Since my son was not at home, I went to the house of one of the survivors. Then only I got to know what happened. As parents, if they had been observant and vigilant as to where their children are going and what they are doing, then tragedies of this nature could have been avoided. Because it is beautiful, many come to enjoy. Around 12 to 13 have drowned here so far. Recently, 5 drowned here. But protective measures were not taken. Even a board was not put up. I would like to tell the police and the other responsible authorities to pay some attention to this.
A program to donate funds for the construction of houses was held today in Agunukula Palace under the auspices of Minister of Housing and Construction Sajith Premadasa.
There's a political group in our country that is trying to get back the power they lost 2 years ago in the government. Even after they were sent home, they still haven't learned their lesson. The people do not want a political change. The political hypocrites who could not even remain in the opposition for a mere 2 years are saying that they are going to topple this government. Are they doing this to provide water for those affected by the drought or bring them food? No, my friends. They are doing this to make sure the political power remains within their families for the next generation and the generations after that.
The event, which was held at the newly constructed town hall, saw Minister Sajith Premadasa hand over financial aid to 144 polling agents through private funding.
The Sirasa Shakti, TV1, NBC and Newsfirst Sahanayatra that was launched to provide aid to the people affected by the drought successfully concluded today.
Dry rations were distributed among residents of a number of villages in the Munragala, Hambantota, Batiklo and Jaffna districts until this afternoon. Our teams were able to deliver the aid that was provided to us by the generous public directly to the hands of those who are affected.
In spite of a smattering of showers experienced last evening and today, more than 1 million people continue to suffer from the persisting drought. While paddy fields have been turned into ovens of dry mud cakes, water from the Neelabamma Ella in Puttlam is being wasted due to poor irrigation management.
The drought has decimated agrarian communities across the country, and in Puttlam too, farmers can only look on as their crops wilt before their eyes. While about 15,000 hectares are cultivated in Neelabamma, Navagattekama and Anamaduwa under normal circumstances, this season farmers have only been able to cultivate 5,000 hectares.
All our jewellery is with the banks. We are despondent. We cannot bear this sadness.
Our crops are all destroyed. We do not have water to drink.
No one has helped us so far. The officials did not come to see us. There is no rain. We cannot even bathe. We use the water we get to drink to fulfill our needs.
Adding salt to their wounds, the Neelabamma Ella flows within sight of these villagers. Farmers point out that as a result of the failure to renovate the Nilabama Ella following the floods last year, the water cannot be used for irrigation purposes. The water is flowing away and we cannot use it to irrigate our fields. There is nothing we can do. The paddy fields are withered. No matter how much we sow, there isn't any water. Farmers who depend on this waterway were able to cultivate in the past, but now these farmers are under threat because they cannot get this water to their fields. No repairs have been conducted. The farmers got together and diverted it once. Most of it is being wasted. News First made inquiries from the District Secretary of Puttalam.
We held discussions with the Irrigation Minister and we visited the location. He promised special support and funds for this. The farmers were asking about this season, and if we were to conduct the renovation completely, it would take a lot of time. So we have used pipes as a temporary measure to carry the water. Repair work is underway and we should be able to complete it by next season. It hasn't commenced yet, but it will commence when this season is over.
Meanwhile, the Department of Meteorology is forecasting showers and cloudy skies in some parts of the island over the next 2 days.
In the forecast issued at noon today, the Met Department noted that as a result of the wave-type disturbance in the vicinity of Sri Lanka, intermittent showers or thunder showers may be experienced in parts of the northern, north-central, eastern, central, Ua and southern provinces. However, the Met Department also noted that this would not elevate the dry weather conditions. The highest rainfall in the past 24 hours was recorded in Wakare, which received 94.2 millimeters of rain. Pasikuda received 55 millimeters of rain yesterday, while Point Pedro received 53 millimeters. Jaffna received 52.1 millimeters and Polonnaruwa received 40.9 millimeters of rain. Our correspondents noted that a smattering of showers was experienced in parts of the Trincomalee, Vaunia and Nuwara districts.
On to one of our headline-making stories. 6 chief ministers hailing from the Sri Lanka Freedom Party met with former President Mahinda Rajapaksa in Colombo today. The talks got underway at the former president's official residence on Vijayarama Mawat in Colombo 7. The chief ministers of 6 provinces representing the SLFP were present for the meeting, while Peshalaja Ratna, the chief minister of the North Central province, was conspicuous in his absence. A group of MPs representing the joint opposition were also present at the meeting.
There was a debate and there were arguments and counter-arguments. No agreement was reached, but it was a happy meeting. I will leave after breakfast. This discussion was not held targeting elections. It was about the current political situation. Both parties need to clarify certain matters and we discussed these. The 7 chief ministers are acting as intermediary coordinators in this program. So we will inform the SLFP, the party central committee and the Honourable Chairman, President Maithripala Sirisena, of these matters. Minor political differences of opinion had arisen between both groups in the recent past. We will probably be able to resolve these and move forward. We believe we will receive a positive response from the other side. We shall see what will happen in the future. Politics is always in flux, isn't it? They came with the approval of the party leadership. I am open to any person. I am prepared to talk to anyone who is opposed to the United National Party to form an anti-UNP front.
Staying in the political arena, Deputy Minister Ashok Singh had this to say during an event held in Kurunegala today.
Those rogues will certainly be produced in court in the near future. For now, they only have been placed in remand custody. 15 members of the joint opposition are currently out on bail. All of them will be indicted by the end of this year or come next year, and they will be found guilty. We know who is guilty of the murder of Tajuddin. All of Sri Lanka knows who murdered Lasantha Wickrematunge. Those people will receive the death sentence. The others will be sentenced to at least 2 to 3 years imprisonment for their crimes. At the 2020 election, about 15 to 20 members of the joint opposition will be unable to contest the election. When they are released in prison in 2022 or 2023, all of them will have lost their civic rights. That means they will be unable to contest elections for another 7 years. In 2025, Mahinda Rajapaksa will be 82 years old and he will not be able to engage in politics.
Former chairman of the Lanka Coal Company, attorney-at-law Maitri Gunaratne exposed details of a controversial deal struck by the Lanka Coal Company during a press briefing in Galle today.
තව අවුරුදු 3ක් සඳහා දීර්ඝකාලීන ටෙන්ඩර් එකක් කැඳවලා තියෙනවා.
They have called for a long-term tender for a period of 3 years. If I continue to remain in this position for much longer, the secretary can't commit all the fraud he is up to now. That is the reason why they made their first attempt to get rid of me for good. The secretary of the subject ministry, Suren Batakoda, and the rest of the tender committee are all at fault. The wrong decision was put forth by the minister to the cabinet. Then, misleading the cabinet, they put the same bill requesting to grant the same contract to the same company for a second time. The Chief Justice at the Supreme Court had issued a verdict saying that the granting of the contract to the company in question is illegitimate. Disregarding the verdict, they still went ahead with the deal. They have misled the minister as well. What we are asking the President to do is to remove the Secretary and the tender committee immediately before they present the tender and carry out this theft once again.
ප්‍රධානය කරන්න කලින් දැම්ම මේ අමාත්‍යාංශ ලේකම් සහ මේ ප්‍රසම්පදා මණ්ඩලය සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම මාළු කළ යුතුමයි.
State Minister Ruwan Wijewardene expressed these views at an event held to declare open a new party office in Gampaha.
How can they topple the government in 2017? That will only be a dream for them. The former president, after being in power for such a long time, speaks nonsense now out of greed after losing power. This government does not see this challenge as a threat in any manner. The president, the prime minister and the national government are extremely strong and are working in unity. Whatever the former president may say, this government will not be toppled in 2017.
Cheques were presented to rubber smallholders at an event held today under the auspices of Minister Navin Dissanayake. Now speaking at the event, the minister expressed the following sentiments.
You cannot remain in power forever. Some leaders think that they can remain in power forever. But that is not the case. This country will move forward without nepotism. I believe that this is the only alliance that can do that. If Rajapaksa can level allegations, I would like to ask him what he envisions for the country. What is his plan? Is he planning on bringing the ones who are assuming those positions to the same position? Is Basil Rajapaksa coming back to spearhead the economy? Can people like that drive the country's economy? Do people like them even have clean hands? Have they made money? That is what we would like to ask.
MP Bandulal Bandarikodas says no space will be allowed for persons to achieve narrow political motives.
We are moving forward with a common motive, disregarding our own politics. If the nation is in danger, we will always stand by our nation, our race and our religion. But if someone is trying to achieve their narrow intentions using communalism, religious zealotry and pseudo-nationalism, we will not allow any space for that.
Speaking at an event held yesterday, the former mayor of Kaduwela, G.H. Buddhadasa, expressed these views on MP Vimal Weerawansa, who is currently in remand custody on charges of misusing public property.
Who was it that deceived the people of Kaduwela, promising housing assistance for 16,400 homes? It was Vimal Weerawansa. Now Mr. Vimal Weerawansa questions from prison as to why Ashu Marasinghe, who was at the Engineering Corporation, has not been arrested. Who appointed the chairman? Was it us? Vimal Weerawansa is in prison for handing out 21 state-owned vehicles. This is what he did, and he alone is responsible for it.
Minister Mahinda Amaravira, the General Secretary of the UPFA, expressed the following views in Tangol yesterday.
It does not matter if the previous government was engaged in large-scale thefts and this government is engaged in small-scale thefts. It is wrong. Whoever the thief is, the public will not oppose punishment being meted out. It may be the bond scam or it can be something that was done during the previous regime. The innocent children of this country will have to pay for all of this. Public representatives do not have a right to defraud public funds. The debate pertaining to the bond scam will come up on the 24th. Our stance is clear on that. It was wrong. We met the president and said that there is no need to grant any sort of pardon for these people and that they must be punished no matter what their status is.
A dengue prevention campaign was launched in Kotahena today under the auspices of the Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit.
The Archbishop said that the Catholic community has come together to eradicate the spread of dengue from the country. Through this program, Shamadanas will be conducted in schools and other locations in parishes with a high prevalence of dengue. What I ask of all of you is to participate in cleaning up your areas to the best of your ability. Following the launch of the program, the Archbishop participated in a Shramadana campaign which was conducted in the Kotahena parish.
Well, sightings of an unidentified flying object or UFO were reported from several parts of the island last night.
Eyewitnesses claim to have seen a bright spherical object flying in the night sky. However, as captured by telescopes, it was a bright square-shaped object with a moving core. The sightings were reported between 7 and 7:15 p.m. yesterday in the skies above Hammathura, Galle, Mathura and Ratnapura.
People in India's southern Chennai city continue to protest today despite the provincial government of Tamil Nadu allowing the bull taming sport Jallikattu through an executive order.
Hundreds of protesters held placards and shouted slogans at the Marina Beach in the city against the Supreme Court and the federal government. Sand sculptures were also made at the beach in support of Jallikattu and against the animal rights organization People for Ethical Treatment Animals or PETA. Yesterday, the state government issued an ordinance revoking the ban on the controversial sport, but the demonstrators refused to call off their protest till a permanent solution was found. The ordinance will ensure that provisions of the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals or PCA Act will not apply to bulls.
Several protests were held in Sri Lanka too against the Jallikattu ban in Tamil Nadu, India. The protest was held opposite the Fort Railway Station with the participation of famous Tamil-speaking artists. Protests were also held in Hatton, Navalapitiya and Kandy as well.
On to sports news now. Sri Lanka scrapped through to register victory in the second T20 international against South Africa today in what turned out to be a nail-biting finish. With that, we wrap up tonight's edition of Weekend Primetime News. Thank you very much for joining us. Good night.